this session going to be talk about multiple process scheduling and thread scheduling. This is session 4 of the Model 2 operating system course. Let me the presentation flow here. The at the beginning we will going to be discuss the multi-level queues, right? So we have discussed some scheduling algorithm in the previous session, that is especially first come first serve, round robin and priority, right? So in the similar sense, the one more scheduling algorithm called multi-level queue scheduling algorithm. So for the CPU scheduling or short-term scheduling, which will happen between the processed state ready queue and running, right, which we have enough discussed in the previous session. So one more such technique called multi-level queue, so going to be discussed here. And after that we have multi-level feedback queue, right? So the multi-level feedback queue we are going to be discussed. So continuation of this we have thread scheduling, right? So thread scheduling we are going to be discussed. So that is a concept here, one of the milestone concepts after the scheduling process scheduling algorithms which comes in like first come first serve, priority curve and round robin and multi-level queue and multi-level feedback queue in that sense. So now thread scheduling algorithms we will going to be discuss that, right? So we can see after that multiple process scheduling. So multiple process scheduling concept we are going to be discuss. So at the end we are going to be observe that multi-core processor, how this run the threads, how many threads will be allocated to the processor, that is a hardware, or we can say the number of CPUs, what we are saying, dual core, multi-core or octal core, right? So on that CPUs are there. So that hardware, how that hardware will be the associated with this execution of the program, right? So after this let me see what is a multi-level queue. So ready queue is partitioned into separate queues. Ready queues, no? You can recall our diagram that after the once the process born, so that is a new and it came to ready queue. So their ready queue will be partitioned into separate queues, that is a one foreground queue and background queue. So foreground will be interactive and background will be a batch, right? So this foreground and background two queues will be there in a ready queue. So process permanently in a given queue, right? Process permanently in a given queue, either this interactive or foreground background. The each queue has its own scheduling algorithm, right? So there is a multiple queues are there, no? So that each queue might follow the each their own fashion, maybe round robin, first come first serve, so on that. Here the foreground follow the round robin and background follow the first come first serve. Scheduling must be done between the queues. So multiple queues are there, no? Between the queues we can schedule that. So fixed priority scheduling is there, that is a serve all from foreground then background, right? Serve all from foreground then the background will be served. Possibility of starvation, right? Possibility of starvation. So possibility is normally the process have lower priority, so which will be suffer from acquiring the resources. So that is a, so we have observed in round robin or some other algorithm which have the priority algorithm which have high priority, so they will always get a service, they will always get the revision. So the which have lower priority, which are always suffer from the starvation, non-availability of the resource, or they could not that process may not meet that conditions which will be set by the operating system. Time slice, each queue gets a certain amount of CPU time, so which it can schedule amongst its process. So 80% of the foreground in a round robin, right? Foreground in a round robin, that will be time slice. So 20% to the background in a first come first serve, that is, right? So that is a multi-level queue, this one. So multi-level queue scheduling, we can see that many separate queues will be process permanently assigned to one queue based on some property of the process. So such as memory size, process type and priority, what scheduling algorithm is exercising. So that it depends upon that application, right? So in that sense we have highest priority given the system related aspects, system process. And the next one we have interactive process, that will be a foreground. So that we have interactive editing processes, right? So then we have batch processing, that is a background. So we have student process, that lowest priority. So this kind of each one have queues, so each have that priority, right? So somebody standing here, some process standing here, which may relate to that aspects. So some may be standing in this queue, which may be related to editing process. Some related to that lower priority student process, they might be stand in that queue. So that could be multi-level queue scheduling is depends upon that each have separate queue, depends upon the process attributes, which may be size, type and priority scheduling algorithm. So let me improve that multi-level queue, that is a multi-level feedback queue. Process can move between the various queues, that aging can be implemented this way. So the multi-level feedback queue scheduler defined by the following parameters. What are those? Number of queues, so scheduling algorithm for each queue, right? So method used to determine when to upgrade a process, method exercise to determine when to demote the process, right? So also it get to use a queue process will enter when the process need a service, right? So based on this parameter, that queue will be allocated. So one such example you can see. So there are three queues are there: Q0, Q1, Q2. Q0 follow round robin with the time quantum 8 milliseconds. Round robin, Q1 will be round robin but different quantum, that is 16 millisecond. Q2 will follow first come first serve, right? So we will see that. So there is a quantum of 8, that is a Q0, right? Q0 is a quantum of 8 round robin fashion. So we have scheduling will be happening. A new job enters to Q0, which is serves. The first come first come that gains the CPU jobs receives 8 milliseconds. 8 milliseconds. So after 8 millisecond, the job may not completed. If job may come not completed, then go enter into the second queue. So which have their quantum 16 millisecond. So at Q1, job is again served first come first serve and receives the 16 additional milliseconds. 16 additional milliseconds for the job. So here have a bright chance to complete that execution. So if it still does not complete, it is preempted and move to the Q2. So it go to the Q2, that is a first come first serve. So that is a multi-level feedback queue. So multi-level queue and multi-level feedback queue, these are the policies for the process scheduling which we have left in the previous session. So there, along with this first come first serve, round robin, priority, and these two algorithms going to be added, right? So those algorithms are very popular in the process scheduling. So now we will discuss about thread scheduling. So the thread scheduling, it is a distinction between a user level thread and kernel level thread. We have discussed enough about that, of course, right? So that user level thread will be by thread library, kernel level thread from the operating system. So it is there in there. So for which relation we have seen many to one, one to one, and many to many, right? So where many to one was not able to provide a multiprocessor system. So whereas many to many was a successful model. So that how many number of user level threads are corresponding number of kernel level threads are there. So that could be communicate via that lightweight protocol, lightweight process, right? So when the thread supported, thread scheduled, not processes, right? So not processes. So let we see that the process are there and there is a thread scheduler. So that could be a first come first serve or a priority. Several algorithms are there. So there is a processor, right? So you can consider here priority 10, priority 5, thread 2 as priority 5, thread 3 is priority 5 1, 4 is priority 5. So each have priority. Based on that priority, so they will be processed, right? So that user level thread and kernel level threads. So let we see, that is we have seen the relation between the, how establish the relation between these user and kernel level threads through the model, through that mapping model. So that many to one mapping model, many to many model. So thread library schedules user level threads to run on any available low weight process, right? So known as a process contention scope. So here, process contention scope. What is that? PCS. PCS is a process contention scope. So process contention scope is a, that scheduling computation will be happen within the process. So for example, process the processor have too many process. So those process will be compute for only that corresponding processor. Within the process computation will be happening. So for example, process have some threads, 5 threads. So all 5 threads will be computed for only that process, right? So no, it may not go beyond that other process threads. Other process the attributes may be memory, priority, so on that, right? It will be process contention which will be happen within the process. So typically done via priority set by the programmer. So that is a user level thread. So that by thread programming, thread library will be there. So that thread library that the programmer has to set the priority of that thread. So KL schedule, that is a kernel level schedule onto available, that onto available CPU system, that contention scope, that is a system contention scope. There we have process contention, here system contention scope, right? So system contention scope will be computing among several processes, right? It is computing among the several processes. It is computing within the process, that is called process contention. Computing among the process, this is called system contention scope, SCS or PCS, right? System contention, process contention. So that more ULT related to the process contention, KLT related to what is called system contention, right? So all threads in a system, which are computing for the process, right? So that is a, so in this scenario we will see one example how this happen contention, that process contention and system contention. So in that sense we will see one example, so that we have a allocation of domain. So one user level thread can be part of one or more allocation domain. So one ULT can be part of more or one allocation domain. Due to this high complexity in dealing with the hardware and software architectural interfaces, so that example, operating system with a 3 process P1, P2, P3 and 10 threads ULTs with a single allocation domain, right? So with a single allocation domain, so we can see how this 100% CPU resource will be distributed among all that 3 process. Then the amount of CPU resource allocated to each process and each thread depends on the contention scope, scheduling policy, priority and their thread using the thread library, and also depends upon the scheduler. That so that the allocated to each process, that contention scope depends on this, each thread depends on the contention scope, type, priority and all those, right? So that ULT of different contention scope. So these ULT have a different contention scope. So that for example, so the 3 process and process P1, P2, and 10 ULT. So you can see here this is a kernel space and user space. So P1, P2, P3, that 3 process will be there and 10 ULT will be there. So you can see here. So the process 1 have 3 threads, that is T1, T2, T3, and we have low weight process that we have. So kernel thread that corresponding that is a PCS, process contention scope. This is a process P1, process contention scope. So that we have this will be this T1, T2 compute for the WP, that K, this one, P2 is a KLT, system contention. So they have separate thread, kernel thread, corresponding thread. So here sharing is there, here separate threads are there. So P2. So then we can have P3 is a combined one. So that process contention scope T6 T5, process contention will be T6 T5. So that is what the system contention. So separate kernel threads are there. T8, T9, T10 are the SCS, right? So this example we can see this is a process contention, this is purely that is a system contention. So this will be a mixed one, that is process 3, T6 TC1 will be PCS, and T8 T9 T10 will be system contention. So with this example we can see that. So in the process 1, what will do, all process T1 T2 T3 process P1 will be compete among themselves. So process this contention thread of same process can share one or more WP. So T1 T2 share WP, that LWP, and T3 allocates to separate LWP, that is a kernel, that is between T1 and T2 allocation will be resource sharing. So that competing the library. So that we have low priority threads T1, process P1 cannot attempt preempt T3 C, that is even if the priority is greater than or greater than the T3. So if equal, then the allocation of user level thread to available LWP is based on the scheduling policy of that scheduler. So process 2, both SCS that threads T4 T5, that is a system contention. Process 4 is a system contention. Process P2 will compete with the process P1 as a whole, and that SCS threads will be T8 T9 of the P3. So that remaining P3 process will be scheduler will share a kernel's resource 1 P1 T4 T5 T9 T10, and PCS threads are T6 T7 of P3 is separate the process. So continues with the P3. So here joint PCS and SCS threads. Example, if scheduler allocates 50% CPU resource to P3 and 20% of the 5% resource for the process that is PCS, and remaining 25% per SCS, right? So that 50% CPU resource and 25 PCS and 25 SCS. The PCS thread T6 T7 will be allocated to access to 25% of the resource based on the priority of the thread library. So that system contention thread 8, 9, 10 will divide 20%, 25% resource among themselves and access the resource kernel via WP and KLT. So system kernel system contention scope scheduling is by the system scheduler. Allocation here, note, for every system call there is a kernel resource, KLT is created and associated with the LWP by the system scheduler. So number of KLT is equal to total number of LWP, that is equal to total number of LWP for SCS and plus total number of PCS. So that is equal to total number of SCS threads and number of PCS threads. Depends on the application developed here, right? So SCS threads is equal to 5 number of LWP for process PCS is equal to 3 plus 5. So that is a total 8 5 3 plus that 8 advantages will be there process for SCS, right? So if all threads are PCS, then synchronize context switching, synchronization, scheduling, everything take place within the user process, right? So there is a reduce the system call and achieve better performance. So the PCS is cheaper than the SCS, right? So because it happened within the PCS, no, that process contention that is much cheaper than the system contention. So that system involvement will be required. So PCS threads share one or more available LWP. So that process contention threads will always share the one or more LWP, but that SCS will not do, I think so. Will not never do that. For every SCS threads, a separate LWP is associated. For every system call, a separate KLT is created. So in this we can see that scheduling algorithms, some coding. So API allows specifying either PCS or SCS during a thread creation, either PCS or SCS. So there is a pthread scope process using PCS scheduling, and pthread scope system scheduling threads using the SCS, right? So SCS, so it can be limited to OS, that Linux and Mac OS only allow pthread scope system. So pthread scope system, that is a process scope, so that will be allow, so that Linux and Mac OS will allow, so that process contention scope algorithm, so that is a pthread scope system, that is. So let we see that pthread scheduling API. So here we have pthread, and we have number of threads are 5, and we have a main function. So pthread id and pthread get the default attributes, that is a pthread attributes initialization. The first require the pthread attributes get scope, that is a get scope attribute, so that we print the error, else there is a scope pthread will be success, so that is a pthread scope process. So otherwise else if system, then the printf, that is a scope system, and printf, that is else illegal scope, that is. So this is a main, and we have the here process happen, that is a system pthread get scope will be a process contention for I is equal to number of thread pthread creates, right? Is number of threads will be join after completion, it has to be completion. So runner will be, in the previous example we discussed some of the non-negative numbers summation. In the similar sense 5 threads you can assign some work here, so that will be for here no nothing computation, just creation will be there, that process contention among the 5 threads. So coming to this multiple process scheduling, so we have that CPU scheduling more complex when multiple CPUs are available. So more number of cores are there, then scheduling become difficult. Let we see that. So homogeneous process within the multiprocessor, so that symmetric process, homogeneous process within the processor. So asymmetric one, only one process access system data structure, elevating that need to be share that. So only one processor will access that, right? So in that sense we have process, so we have multiple CPUs are there, so only one CPU is using that one core is accessing that, right, data. And symmetric multiprocessing, that each processor is a self scheduling, all process in a common ready queue, and each has its own private queue of the ready process, right? So that most commonly that we have all core can able to access that symmetric multiprocessor. Processor affinity, so processor has a affinity for processor on which it is currently running. So here scenario, there is some process are running here, right? So due to that the various problem, that is a blocking, IO blocking, so that switch swap in swap out for long waiting, right? So several due to the several hurdles, the process will be stop in between, right? So what will happen, it has to wait, and it has to be some process will be running long time, some process will be short time, some process have due to the not properly load balanced, so it may be have overloaded that. So in this scenario what will happen, so process will it has to be migrate to other processor, so other core, other CPU, due to all this reason. So process has to be migrate means it has to be go to the other processor, other hardware, sorry, other CPU. So by doing migrating from one process to other processor, what will happen, the so far computed the data, it may be available in the cache memory, so that cache memory will be it is jumping it to other processor, no? So other processor do not have that cache content, so that will be go erase. So it migrating, it has to be go along with this luggages, that is not possible here. So that's why what will happen, that context switching, or it is going to some other processor, it is a heavy latency will be there, so lot of data will be lose here. So that's why, so that process will be attached to the particular processor, some affinity will be there, right? So that is a keeping continuing in the same processor for more time. So that is affinity. Process has a affinity for processor in which is currently running. Soft affinity. Soft affinity means that, so it will be maintained in the same processor, assure that, not assure that, it maintain in the same processor, but it is not guarantee you will be continue in the same processor, but have soft affinity certain amount of time. So that will be OS will keep the process in the same processor, right? So it will keep the same processor. So that will be the hard affinity will be there, that will discuss the subsequent. So set of processor will be allocated. So variation of including a processor sets will be also there. So the processor affinity during the process running attached to the specific processor and related to cache memory maintains its recent data, right? So now if the process migrate to another processor, due to this content of cache will become invalidate for the first processor, which is not visible to second processor, which is catering the needs of that. So cache of second processor must be repopulated. So repopulate second processor cache become fresh now. So it has to be that migrated process has to be carry its luggage, so that it's not possible because it invalidate in the first process. So because the cost of invalidation repopulating is very high, most of the SMP, that symmetric multiprocessor system, avoid process migration because of this losing data. So that cost is very high to bring that data. So better resume in the same process. So that we can say affinity. Soft affinity, process retained in the same processor is a soft affinity, but not a guarantee. It is not a guarantee. So that we have we have socket 0, socket 1. So the node 0, under this we have core 0, the T0 thread 1. So T3 we have thread 2, like this, that it will be attached to in the soft affinity. So thread 0 allows to the core 0. So thread 2 is attached to the core 2. So that some affinity will be there. So hard affinity, alternative, that certain set of processors supports resume for running, right? Certain set of process will be identified. So set of process will be identified for that process. So it has to be get the work from those processor only. So that they can manage their cache contents. So supports for running. For example, Linux provides both, no, hard affinity and soft affinity, both that is. So that we have the Linux have function called shed hyper underscore, that is set affinity. So it will be normally supports for soft affinity and also supports for hard affinity of that Linux operating system. So that will be their system call called shed underscore set affinity, that open bracket close bracket system call will be that. So that hard affinity, we can see that CPU1 will be look up the threads are 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 5, 6 will be CPU1 only, right? So CPU with CPU affinity set, only CPU 0 and 1 are used that. So this 1 to 5, 1 to 6 threads will be under CPU 0 and CPU 1. Only these two CPUs, it cannot go to 2 and 3, right? So even the hard affinity, they fix the boundary. Only this hard core we can utilize. So other you cannot use that, right? Otherwise that will be soft affinity. So in this sense we have non-uniform memory access, that SMPs and CPU scheduling. So that non-uniform memory access symmetric multiprocessor. So there is a main memory architecture of system will be affect the processor affinity. right? So processor affinity, that memory will be affect, that is how we can see CPU has faster access normally. So in within the CPU have a faster access, their memory, so part of the main memory other than, so it cannot it may become slow to access the other main memory of the core, other main memory CPU. It happen in a joint board, CPU and memory have a same board, no? In that case CPU is a faster access, CPU will slow for memory in other board. If the CPU the different CPU, for example CPU1 is very fast in accessing the its main memory, it may be very slow in accessing a CPU2 or 3 main memory, right? In that sense we can see there is a computer which contains the several CPUs, so the CPU1 may be CPU2, right? So the CPU1 have a memory, CPU2 have memory, so we have that CPU1 can fast access its own memory, right? Fast access or own memory. Similarly that CPU fast access its own memory. So but this CPU for example CPU1 can access this CPU2 memory also, but it is very slow, access, right? So that this is also fast. So this non-uniform memory access scheduling. So if operating system CPU schedulers and memory placement algorithms work together, then this cause we can reduce that. This slowness of the can be reduced that to the little extent. So here within the memory can fast, but other memory slow. That can be avoided to certain extent by the combination of the work of the OS CPU scheduler and memory placement algorithms work together. Then process that is assigned affinity particular CPU can be allocated memory in which it is available of that board, right? So coming to that the extension of the NUMA. So one example you can see that. So we have the non-uniform memory access 0 and non-uniform memory access 1. So this different the CPUs, each core have multiple each CPU have multiple cores. So here for example we have these we can have 15 cores are there, right? So 15 cores are there, so their network card will be there, IO control memory will be there, so memory control will be there. So here so that we can see that so the several 16 cores are connected, so one such example. So load balancing is also one of the important factor. So multiple process, that is, so if SMP, that symmetric process multiprocessor need to keep all CPUs uniformly loaded, so workload will be uniformly loaded among all processor. So otherwise what happen, some process will be idle, some process we have less work, some process are more work, that non-uniform distributed load to balance for efficiency, so that is required. So that process will be idle, that is. So load balancing attempt to keep a workload evenly distributed among the several processor. So push migration, seen that. So we have seen in the previous that what we said, that is the migration due to heavy load or less load or idle, right? So in that case is to be migrate. If migrating, then its old data may be losing. So then what will happen here, we can push migration, possibly you can push that to next other hardware, other core. So for which we can periodically check each task that load on each processor. If found push task from overloaded CPU to other less load CPUs, that. So you can balance that load. So by periodically checking that processed load, if it is more then you have to push, that is. So if you it is pushing, what will happen? So its contents, the cache contents will be repopulated. It may be lost, that is. So that is a cost of that repopulation is very high, right? So even that it is a system policy, so that forcibly migrating. or else we can also pull, that is idle processor pulls, it keep watching the other overloaded process secretly, then found that there is a more load, then it can forcibly pull that waiting task from busy processor due to no hard rules, that is there is no hard and bound rules to there, only that particular process has to be take more load, particular process take less load, so it is keep on waiting for that particular resource which may be coming in not definite time, so then it has to be pull that, right. So multi-core processor, so here usually system that symmetric multiprocessor allow many threads to run concurrently by creating many are using available many processors. So recent trend in the most of the system are multiple cores are there on a same physical chip, right, we have seen in the previous example, so resulting in a multi-core processor. So each core maintains its architectural states, appears as a single process per operating system. So operating system treat it as a each core as a one CPU, one hardware. So here faster and consumes the less power, that each core will be rather entire CPU. So each single core or single CPU, which multiple CPUs are there in a system, which are basically faster and it need a less power. So multiple threads per core also growing, right. So each core will have and it entertains more threads. Take advantage of the memory stall, right. Memory stall, particular thread waiting for the memory, no, it keep on waiting if that memory may not available or other resource, other process may not releasing to make a that's why memory stall will be happen to make a progress on another thread while memory retrieve happens, right. So that it will be a compute cycle, so that memory cycle we can see that. So there is a thread will be a compute cycle, and next we have memory stall due to the memory data waiting, so it has to wait. So next after getting continue for computation, right. So in the similar sense, memory computation, so it you can observe this, so 50% of the time the CPU is wasting for memory stall, right. So due to this multi-core processor, as core number of cores are increases and per core number of threads are increases, then complexity involved, right. Complexity involved in the sense that most of the time is wasting for that, and for which we have to entertain this multi-thread. So multi-thread we need to be properly manage them, so otherwise you will be most of the time is waiting for memory stall, right. So this 50% of time is waiting for memory. So continue to this multi-core. Today machines are you can bear that multi-threaded processor cores, that multi-threaded processor it can entertain. Today's most of the smart processors, two or more thread can assign to each core, right. So if one thread stall while waiting for memory, the other core can switch to another thread, right. So that if processor is idle, then it can switch to the another thread, so that can be happen, that is. So dual thread processor core T0 T1 are interleaved. So let me see that from operating system perspective, each hardware thread appears as a logical processor. Each hardware, that processor or core, appears as a logical processor available to run a software thread, right. So that from operating system perspective, each hardware it logical processor. So thus dual threaded core, dual core, that threaded dual core. So dual threaded dual core, that four logical processor are opening to operating system, or four logical processor available to the operating system, right. In other words, four logical dual threaded dual core system, it releases four, it make available produces four logical processor in front of the operating system. So for in that case what will happen, that is a thread 1 and thread 0. So thread 0 for computation and computation, immediately it can go for memory contention. So during that time thread 1 can process, right. So that can take that. multiple threads are there, so dual threads in a dual core, so it can reduce the waiting time, right? So one such example we can have UltraSpark T3 CPU has a 16 cores per chip and 8 hardware thread per cores. So operating system will be visible to 128 logical processor. So in this UltraSpark T3, 128 logical processors are visible to for operating system. So we can that concept we have, that is a multi-threading, that is a coarse and fine grained multi-threaded. So coarse will be a two-way, two-way, one called coarse and other called fine. So that what is a coarse? Coarse grain multi-threaded execute on a processor until long latency due to memory stall. So long latency will be sustained here. So that if you have memory stalls are there, so it can wait, right? So that long memory latency due to delay caused by long latency event, right? LL is a long latency event. Due to that delay happen, so the processor must switch to the another thread to start executes. So if you notice that the system has noticed the long delay, long latency event has taken place and delay happen, in that case instead of process become idle, it can switch over to the another thread, right, to execute that. So however, cost of switching between thread is very high here, right? Anyhow, the processor being an idle is not efficient, since instruction pipeline must be flushed before other thread can be begin execution on the processor core, right? So this is a switching will be that pipelines had to be instruction pipelines should be cleaned, that should be erased before the other can take that. So the processor migrating to one thread to another thread, in that case that corresponding corresponding processor instruction pipeline will be having a old data, so that we need to be remove and put it in the new one, so new threads data, so that in order to begin the execution. So the what is called a fine grain multi-threaded concept, finer level granularity will be there. So that most of the architecture design will support for fine grain system, which comprises the logic for thread switching, right? That most of the computer architecture will basically they design for finer level granularity. So there we can that flushing of this pipeline and all those may not required. So logic for the thread switching. So again example, UltraSpark T3 CPU has 16 cores, chip 38 hardware that core. So we will have 128 logical process will be visible for the operating system. So we have discussed the process scheduling, multi-level queue and multi-level feedback queue, along with which we have discussed that is called first come first serve, round robin, priority and all those. So those are dedicated to the process scheduling. So now that the concept we discussed the thread scheduling, there we have seen the multiple process scheduling, multi-core processor, right? So this we got from the book textbook called Abraham Silberschatz et al. And the reference books are there. These also available. And thank for patient listening and shown the interest on multiple process scheduling and thread scheduling concept as a session 4 of model 2. Thanks to coordinator, moderator and subject expert. Thank you one and all.